Hi guys, welcome back to Around the Campfire with AmeriCamp, the ultimate summer camp podcast. I'm Eloise and I'm here with Amy today, and we are going to be chatting a little bit about Amy's camp experience, obviously like last summer and this summer coming as well. So do you want to start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your camp?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Amy. I go to a sleepaway camp in Vermont called Camp Akeela. It's going to be my third summer this year, so I worked there the past 2 summers. It caters specifically for neurodivergent campers, and our kids are between around like 10 years old to 17.
That's so cool. And sort of how have your experiences been sort of at camp the past couple of summers? Do you want to give us some like highlights, favorite memories, things like that?
So I had two really, really great summers. I think my first year was probably like the two best months of my life. That sounds so cringy and like kind of what you're supposed to say, but honestly it was. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but it was so amazing. I work mainly with teenagers at camp, so my kids are usually between like 13 and 15. And again, I wasn't really sure what I was getting myself into with that, but I think it's so much fun and you become like an older sibling to the kids. I work on waterfront as well, so a lot of my favourite memories are like taking kids out on the water and all that sort of stuff. And just like being on the lake in the sun for the whole summer is so amazing. And like all the friends you make and stuff.
100%. No, that's so cool. And obviously, I think, yeah, it always sounds cheesy to be like, oh no, it's like the best couple summers of my life. Like it always sounds really cliche, but it's always so true. Like everyone you speak to about camp will say exactly the same thing, even though it sounds like a cliche and it sounds like an exaggeration. Like it definitely isn't. And also so cool that you were on waterfront as well. I was always really, really jealous of people that worked on waterfront because you're just like in the water and around the water all day, like in the sunshine. It just seems like the ideal job, really.
Yeah, I think I'm biased, but I always say it's the best job in camp, especially on those sunny days when you can just jump in whenever you want. It's so great.
Yeah, when it's getting like really, really hot and you can just like jump into the water and be fine. I feel like everyone says that about the job that they did at camp as well, because I was a general counsellor and I tell everyone like, no, that's the best job at camp. And then obviously you on waterfront will be like, no, waterfront's the best job at camp. You'll have people that teach like music and they're like, no, that's the best job at camp. Everyone thinks that their job at camp is the best one. But yeah, like really, really cool to sort of hear from you. I don't think we've spoken to any other people that have worked on the waterfront in the podcast, so really, really cool to sort of get that input as well. So I know you mentioned a little bit about you kind of like had no idea what you were getting yourself into before you went for your first summer at camp. Did you have sort of any specific expectations? Was there anything that like really surprised you when you turned up for your first summer?
Honestly, no. I kind of ended up at camp by accident because I was supposed to go somewhere else and the plan fell through. So really last minute, my friend was like, oh, come to camp with me. And I did. I got hired in like April or May.
Wow.
So I was just like, okay, I want to be abroad for the summer. I'd like a place to live. I'm going to go here. I remember I showed up on my first night at camp. I was a little bit late, like later than the other staff, so they were all having this staff campfire. And obviously, like, I feel like when you're from Ireland or the UK, it's a bit of a culture shock when you get to America, and they're like loud and very confident and all of that. So I got there in the middle of the campfire, and the very first thing I was introduced to was a Repeat After Me song. And the friend who had been there for a couple of days just leant over and she's like, you need to remember you're in America, like you're not in Ireland anymore, just like get loose and enjoy it. So I think that like loudness and energy and honestly just fun, but it's like a different kind of fun than what we're used to.
Yeah.
That quite shocked me, but then like a week in, like I lead the Repeat After Me songs now and I love it and I'll be up there dancing.
That's so good. I love that. You do have to like really embrace the weird a little bit and embrace the stuff that does feel like really, really alien, especially like you said with the US staff. They seem to have like so much energy and they're so loud and they are so enthusiastic about everything, and yeah, definitely at first you get there and you're like, what's going on, like these people are insane. But yeah, you like embrace it and it just ends up becoming like such a big part of like not only your camp experience but you as well. Like I know I came back and I'd really adopted a lot of that confidence and a lot of that like willingness to be super loud and just like get involved and be really confident with everything.
Yeah, I think I definitely changed so much in that first summer from being like not too keen on getting involved to being like, yeah, let's do anything, like whatever opportunity to do something new and like have fun with the kids, have like a dance party on the main lawn.
Yeah.
All of it, I'm like, yes, let's do that.
Let's just get into it. Oh my God, that's so fun. Well, yeah, I know you said that you got sort of hired quite late, sort of in the kind of hiring season. What was that process like for you? Did you sort of get referred to the camp by your friend, or did you like both end up getting placed together at that specific camp?
So she'd actually gotten the job like in the kind of regular hiring season,
Yeah.
around like January or February, I think. So she referred me to them, and that's how I did my interview. I met with the assistant director. I just like did my interview with her. We talked through some stuff. They still needed waterfront people, and I had kayaking experience, so I was like, that's perfect. I'll go for that. And we got it done pretty quick. Because I like needed to get the visa and all that sorted pretty instantly. So it was like interview one day, hired the next.
But it's really cool to sort of like hear about that angle of things, because I think a lot of people don't realize that you can like reach out to a camp yourself and then like go through as a direct placement. I guess especially for you were going with your friends, so like really nice to sort of like be able to have that interview and like guarantee that you can go to the same camp as your friend, especially like super last minute. And obviously really glad to hear that you got everything sorted, even though it was super last minute. I know that can be quite a stressful one. We're sort of at that point at the moment where we're getting the last couple bits and bobs done before people head out to camp.
I did actually end up getting mine late, so it was a bit stressful, but I think it still works out. Like I know there's always a few people every year that end up like getting to camp later, and I thought, oh, everyone's gonna like have their friends and their groups and all that, and I'm just gonna be this outsider that came a week late. But it didn't work out like that at all. I fit in so quickly, and I think everyone gets excited like, oh, this new person. So it's nearly easier to make friends as like the one that's trying as opposed to like everyone's trying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely think that is something that people do worry about if they can't make it until a little bit later. But like I always say to people, like everyone is there to make friends, and everyone is there to be really open-minded to making loads of different types of friends. But yeah, like really sort of cool to hear that you still had a really great experience, even though you were a little bit late. Definitely sort of is a really great kind of demonstration of how lovely everyone is at camp and how easy it is to get on with everyone at camp. So that is really great to hear. So sort of like moving on to sort of some more like camp specific talk rather than sort of like leading up to it. So do you want to run us through some of your favorite camp traditions?
So like all camps have so many traditions, so I think it's hard to pick one. I'd say my favorite is the last campfire of every session at my camp. We do bunk plaques and bunk songs. So a couple of days before the last campfire, every bunk will get about an A4 sized piece of wood, and you design it with like the camper's name, something to do with the bunk theme. Like my last cabin, we were the raccoons, so we did like a scene with loads of raccoons. One year we did donuts on it. Another year was mice. So it's like whatever is special to your camp. We did superheroes another year, or not another year, another session. So you design that, and everyone makes up a song as well. So some people will get really fancy with it and like compose the whole thing. We were never that fancy. We'd just like take a song that the kids liked and change the words to it. It's like we did Free Falling at one point, and it's like every camper then would get like a line or two about them and all the councils as well. And then every bunk sings it at final campfire. So you start off with the youngest kids, which is always so cute, the like little 10-year-olds singing their bunk song. And sometimes you get lucky and you might have a music counsellor. It's like one of my sessions, one of my co's was the music specialist, so he just took over with the song, and it was great.
Just sit back and relax.
Yeah, I was like, I'll sing it, that's great, but I don't have to write it. And then one of the directors will like go around and show everyone's plaque, and then those plaques get stuck up in the dining hall. So,
that's so lovely.
I love like going back the next year and being able to show my new campers like, oh, that was my bunk last year. Or like, these are my campers, and I think that's probably my favourite. But honestly, like there's so many. Like special event days, definitely up there.
Yeah.
The same with like staff orientation traditions. But I think the bunk songs takes the cake.
Yeah, that's so lovely. I feel like there's such a trend, like everyone's favourite camp tradition is so based on like the whole camp coming together. But I think it's really nice that the whole camp comes together, but then each bunk gets to like really show off their own personality and like the kind of vibe they've had going for the whole session. That's like a really, really lovely thing. I don't think I have chatted to anybody whose camp has done that. So that's really nice, especially like putting it up in the dining hall and having like a Hall of Fame kind of thing. That is like such a really sweet tradition. And the songs sound hilarious and very sweet all at the same time, which sounds
Yeah, some of
absolutely
them are
great.
so funny. Like we did one from Super Mario Bros. Like one of the theme songs, that was the tune of our song
That's
this
so
year. And then some of
good.
them are more serious and like really good. Like sometimes the kids will just be laughing so much they can't sing it. And honestly, that's even funnier.
That's so good. I really, really love that. That sounds like so much fun. And really nice to just have like something to really like mark the end of a session. Because I think as well, when you're there for the whole summer, you kind of like lose track of the sessions a little bit. So really nice to have that like marker of like end of the session, we're all going to come together. That sounds just like absolutely lovely to sort of like tie it all up. So sort of moving on from camp then into sort of like post-camp travel. Obviously, you've been out a couple of times, so you probably had a couple different opportunities to go traveling. So what are some of your sort of travel highlights from after camp?
So I went to Acadia and Nashville in New York this past summer. I think those were my favourite. So I met up with a whole gang of Irish people over at camp that actually went to the same university as me here, but I didn't know before I got
That's
to camp.
crazy.
And we ended up travelling together down to Nashville, which was so much fun. It's been on my bucket list for years.
Yeah.
And I love country music. I think when you go with a whole load of camp counselors that have just come from that like loud, fun, get involved camp experience,
Yeah.
to this place that's like also loud and fun, it's just so much fun, and it was really nice to just relax. We got an Airbnb with like the whole crew.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I'd gone to Acadia before that, so I got like a chance to kind of chill. We went camping. The hikes there are so amazing. I think that would be like my number one recommendation for anyone that likes hiking, is go on a road trip with people to Acadia
Yeah.
after camp.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. It's obviously like so nice to like tick off those bucket list places as well. And also just like finding like-minded people. So like for you, for example, you were really into hiking. You got to like go and like do some hiking, sort of like finding people who have those shared interests and who can like really like enjoy whatever it is that you want to do. Like I, for example, was absolutely dying to go to California. Like it was always top of my bucket list. Like found a load of people at camp who were also dying to go to California, and it like also helps you inform like who you're going to be friends with, because it like shows you where you want to go traveling, is like what your interests are. And definitely like road trips, 100% road trips are like definitely the way to go. It is like easier flying if you want to do like a lot of places that are like all over the place, but I
But
think
they're
you get
so
to
expensive.
so expensive, and you get to see so much more when you're in a car. Like you can like look out the window and like see all the places you're passing. You can like stop in loads of different places. I think that road trip is like definitely the way to go for like post camp travel, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I've travelled with friends from America the last couple of summers. So it's really handy they have cars already.
Yeah.
And like we've stopped off at their family homes on the way on our road trip, which
That's
is so nice.
nice.
Like I think the big bucket list places are great, but just like going to where your friends are from is so great as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, definitely. It's so nice having that like context of like where these people that you've met and you've become like so close with like grew up. And you get like a free tour guide as well, because they'll just like show you
Yeah.
around where they grew up. They'll show you all of the good places to visit, give you good recommendations on stuff to do. That's definitely like a good number one tip, is like make friends with US staff. They have cars, you can stay at their houses. It's just a win-win, really.
I think some of my best friends, at least half of my best friends, I'd say, that I've kept in touch with are all American staff. I know a lot of camps are like very big on international staff, and because my camp is like specifically for neurodivergent kids, it attracts a lot of psychology students from the US. So we have slightly less international staff and slightly more US staff. So I think it's easier for us to make friends with the Americans. And like more of them will be traveling because they come from all over the US, as
Yeah.
opposed to just like people that went to that camp for their whole life, so they're from the area. Like we get people from California and like Iowa and Florida, and like they come from everywhere.
Yeah.
So then they're more likely to want to travel around the New England area because they're not from there.
Yeah, no, that's so cool, because like at my camp, like pretty much all of the US staff were just like you said, like locals who went to that camp growing up, and sort of live in the local area. But yeah, like having people from all over the US sounds so cool. Like you have so many different places you can visit, and as well just like really cool to make friends from different backgrounds. Like I always say that that's the coolest part about camp, is you get to meet so many people from so many different places. Like you mentioned, you went traveling with a bunch of other Irish people. You get to like connect with people that are actually really close to home, and you make like new friends back here in the UK. But also just having that network all over the world is like such a cool thing to have post camp. That was definitely one of my favorite things, was just being able to like make friends with loads of people who are dotted about. I've always got free places to go on holiday now because people are like, come and stay at mine whenever you want. It's great, honestly. It's such a win.
Yeah, I love that so much. Like there's couches to sleep on in literally every corner of the world.
100%,
which is so
100%.
Nice.
It is brilliant. Yeah, that's the number one tip, is like make friends so you can go stay in lots of different places. 100%. So sort of like wrapping up with our last couple of questions now then, what would you say to somebody who is thinking of signing up for AmeriCamp next year, not quite sure if it's something they want to go ahead with, or maybe even people who are about to go out to camp for their first summer, like right now?
So I'll start with the people that aren't sure yet. I would say just go for it. Like it's going to be such an amazing experience. I think no matter what people are doing, I always tell my friends that are about to go on an adventure or not sure, it's home is only a flight away. Like if you go out to camp and you get like halfway through the summer and you find you're not a fan, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like it's so amazing.
It doesn't happen.
You can always come home. So just go for it.
Yeah.
Like what's the worst that can happen? The best that can happen is it's gonna be like the most amazing summer of your life. And
which
like,
it will be.
Exactly. So you're gonna love it so much and just take the leap and go for it. Like I was quite nervous, as I said. I got to camp and it was a repeat after me song, and I was like, what have I done? Where have I gotten myself into? And then the like second last night of second session of my first year, like the very end of camp, I was sat with one of my co's watching one of our kids in the camper play, and I'd been a little bit nervous that I wouldn't like connect properly with my campers. I worked with boys, so I also didn't live in the bunk, so there was a few nerves with that. And I was just sat with this co, and we were crying watching our camper up on stage because we were so proud of him, and we connected so well with the kids. They just felt like ours. It was like a little family. So like that's the feeling you get at the end of the summer after you've just taken that leap and gone for it. The nerves just go away, and it's the best place in the world.
100%.
And then for people that are going out this summer, talk to everyone and like jump into every opportunity. Like I know it's natural to be nervous about making friends, but the majority of people are going to camp by themselves, so like they won't know anybody else either. You'll probably be like sat next to someone on the bus from the airport, or you get put into a cabin with other staff members, and just talk to absolutely everybody, and they're gonna become like your first best friends at camp. And then go for like all of the activities that you can try. Any opportunity to do something different, just go for it, and you will create the best memories.
100%. I think so much of it is just like do it. Like even though there's that tiny little voice at the back of your head that's like, oh, like maybe I should talk to that person, maybe we're not going to be friends, or maybe I don't want to do that activity. Like the bottom line at camp is always just do it. Like just give it a try. If it doesn't work out, fine. Like I think a lot of people, like they definitely said it at my camp, and I think a lot of other camps say it, like camp is also like the easiest place to make mistakes. Like if you go and do an activity and you're absolutely rubbish and you can't do it at all, it's fine. There will be other people who try that activity or try other activities and they're not very good at it. That is what camp is all about. It's about trying new things and sort of finding those new hobbies.
I think that's such a good like learning moment with your kids as well. That like you're there to be a role model for them. So like nobody's perfect, and if you're like this perfect role model that's only trying the things that you're good at, then that's not that it's not a good person for them to look at, but I think you become more relatable and like a better person for them to look up to if you fail at something, and you like take that well, and like you're able to laugh at yourself and just be like, yeah, like I'm terrified to jump off the zipline, but I'm gonna try it anyway.
100%. I think just being like your really like genuine, authentic self at camp, like that's the best thing about camp, is that you can just like be yourself and just be as silly and as ridiculous and just do literally anything you want to. So that's like such amazing advice for obviously people that are going next summer, people that are going this summer. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure so many people will find that super duper helpful. So just to kind of wrap up then, was there anything else you wanted to chat about to do with camp, like your camp specifically, camp experience? Obviously feel free to promote your socials as well.
So with my camp specifically, I think a lot of people overlook selecting like a special needs camp category when they're like going through their application process, and I just encourage people to give it a chance, like even just do the interview with the camp and see what it's like, because I know I was quite apprehensive about starting with it because I had no experience in that area, and I only went for it because a friend of mine already had the job, so I was like, oh, I'll go over with her rather than go somewhere else by myself. And it turned into the best experience, and now I can't imagine working at a neurotypical camp. Like my camp completely has my heart. I love our campers, and it's not as different as I expected. It's the typical camp experience, just with a little bit added on. So I just encourage people to take that option, or at least like consider the option rather than just disregarding it. And then with my TikTok, if you want like any other tips, or I'm doing loads of packing and stuff at the moment, it's Amy Aurora Travels.
Amazing. So nice to hear as well, like sort of your perspective on like working at a special needs camp. I think it is something that people do so easily write off, but like really lovely to hear that even for yourself it wasn't necessarily something that had popped into your head straight away as like the camp experience, but like it's still camp. Like at the end of the day, it's still camp. You're still literally gonna have the most amazing time, and you have that like added extra of it being like super rewarding because you're supporting kids in an environment that is great for them and supportive to them, where, you know, if they were in another situation they might not be able to have the same experience. So there's something even extra special about it, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. So that is absolutely lovely to hear. And yes, definitely go check out Amy's TikTok, especially if you're looking for packing tips. Literally everybody seems to be asking for packing tips at the moment. I think people start putting stuff in their suitcase and then they realize they've got about that much too much in the suitcase, and it's like, oh god, what do I leave at home? What am I meant to pack, and what am I meant to leave at home? So yeah, packing tips, definitely go check that out. But yeah, it's been absolutely lovely chatting with you today. Thank you so much for telling us all about camp, and I hope you have a safe flight tomorrow and a lovely time at camp.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great to have a chat.
Lovely. Thank you guys so much. Bye.